Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Wheel Tapping this week. We are going to actually talk a lot about board gaming during COVID and dealing with this, isolation and everything that's going on across the country. So I thought I'd reach out across the country and grab the usual co-host, Mr. Tony Fryer, to talk about 18COVID. So how are you doing, Mr. Fryer?
Hello, Mr. Chris.
Yeah, everything good on your end, your house?
Yeah, pretty well over here, actually. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome. So Tony and I, well, we're not going to do that. Tony and I decided we would like a special guest today. So we brought in Mr. Ian from the Bankruptcy Club. Ian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And you're obviously healthy and well, I hope, and everything like that?
Yeah, still holding it together despite these trying times.
Right.
Awesome.
Now we asked Ian on because we put out the call for some contributors who do different things. So Tony and I obviously do this show, but our online presence is, gaming online is not something we really did up until just recently. I did some gaming. Tony did not much. And then Ian has taken a different path because he streamed a lot of gaming as well on the Bankruptcy Club, but now also plays online and streams that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've been picking up more games, streaming online through Tabletop Simulator. We've got another one coming up later today. Had one earlier this week, one last week.
Right. Now, you two gentlemen are currently working, so it's not like you're just sitting here filling up time like a lot of us, right? You're actually like trying to squeeze this in your off hours.
Well,
Yeah.
working for 3 more days.
All right, fair enough. Sorry.
Oh, I got to keep going, man. I got to keep going until at least until I think I have another. How old am I? I think I have another 31 years
Okay.
for this. So I still got a little bit to go.
There you go.
Okay. Well, COVID killed my job, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
You and a few million people, unfortunately.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm in very, very good company.
indeed. And you have a wife who games, so that is a good thing, as do I. Does your wife game at all, Ian, or your partner, I should say?
She doesn't play board games so much. Sometimes she will, but she's in the background. She's playing Minecraft right now.
There you go.
So
Nice.
that's kind of
Animal
what she's up
Crossing's
to
the new
these days.
Minecraft, right? Though.
Well, yeah. Well, Minecraft's real big in this house.
Fair enough.
We're a Minecraft family.
All right. So awesome. You can catch Ian. He does a lot. You do a lot of streaming on YouTube. So you're also very good about putting up notices of when you're going to stream. So if you subscribe to his channel, you will see when those are going to happen pretty regularly. And you seem to hit the mark pretty consistently.
I try really hard to remember those. So that's good to hear that somebody thinks I'm doing an okay job.
As somebody who does it, though, I'm mildly biased, so I understand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what we are here today is we want to talk about how can 18xxers get their game on during the COVID crisis and our lockdown that we're on right now. So we're calling this episode 18COVID, not to be tongue in cheek, but it's totally tongue in cheek because it's my sense of humor. So we're trying to find alternate ways to actually interact and, be able to play games online. Now, this is nothing new. You can get an 1830 in DOS if you really want to play 18xx. It is available. Hard to track down, but completely fine. So we're not going to cover those things. Another one that kind of fits this is full-on play-by-email. Or play-by-mail, which would be, in this case, Rails, I would say, is the best example of that, where it's a system, it's a Java client, it's showing its age a little bit, but if you need to get your game on, get it on. I don't care. So we're going to talk about some of the more popular ones and ones that, Tony and I have used in a stream recently. Ian does his streams using a different format. So we're going to kind of get into all that. So Guys, do you have anything you'd like to add to our little intro there? Let the people know what we're thinking.
No, sounds good, man. What
Yeah.
you mentioned, we're also going to talk about like communication during this and
Oh,
communication
absolutely.
to get gameplay organized. It's yeah, be a fun discussion.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a great place to kind of open up because if you don't have a communication method that is easy to use and something that's kind of very lightweight, you're probably not going to get into a lot of games or you're going to be very frustrated. If you have to sit there and constantly reread an email every single time, that can get old. So having an instant client is great. Personally, I've used a couple different methods. We tend to find Slack is the best one for our groups, but it depends on who you're playing with and things like that because you make a channel for the game, put your notifications on it so it just keeps cycling. People can ping you, so it works pretty well. Works on across devices and things like that. So that tends to be my favorite. Do you guys have ways of being able to communicate during the game or, to kind of organize them and set them up?
Ian, go for it.
Yeah, I've been using Discord
Okay.
recently. We do have a Slack, and that works pretty well. But apparently, I had started a Discord channel for the Bankruptcy Club a while ago and forgot about it.
There you
And so
go.
went to go log into a different 18XX one and saw that I had it. So we've been using that to set up games with a couple people. One of them we're going to play later today, and that's also what we use for our voice chat too.
Okay.
Because it's good. The Discord's good for that because you can. We have one guy who uses it on his phone because he doesn't have a USB mic, so he just has his phone headset, like whatever
Oh,
that
smart.
plugs in, and he uses that so that it runs separate from his computer, and everybody else has a headset mic or something that they plug in. So it allows him a little bit more flexibility because otherwise we wouldn't be able to talk to him at all.
Right. The other cool
And
thing that Discord
yeah,
does is it does video, right?
I think it can, and I haven't played with that yet. This is my only webcam right now, so I don't have a ton of options. But Discord does have integration with Tabletop Simulator and XSplit, so
Okay.
that last night, um, if you have Discord running while running Tabletop Simulator, it automatically puts the names of everyone in your call as on the top left corner. So when they talk, their name lights up. And then you can, in XSplit, import a Discord overlay so it shows all that information as well. So that on your stream, you can see who's talking when,
Oh, wow.
if you
That's
don't have camera. Yeah,
right. So the XSplit is what you're using is your broadcast software, correct?
that's my broadcast software.
Okay. Yeah, we use something different on our show, and I know of other stuff, but I haven't heard of that one. So, but that's cool. That integration and everything. That's pretty
Yeah.
snappy.
It's been working out really well, especially as I find more and more stuff about all the integration with Discord and the voice chat and everything, and all the overlays that I can add. I haven't really done too much with them other than getting names to show up, but
Right.
that's
All right.
that's very handy since you can't see us right now.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. How about you, Tony? Have you found what method did? Well, let's ask because you're kind of new to this. So where was your kind of your entry point into this?
Um, I'm only a member of one Slack channel, and I don't intend to be a member of any more, just because I just don't need that in my life, right?
Sure.
Um, so we games have been organized with me over that Slack channel, Twitter, and just email between my friends and I,
Okay.
and then you know um, I set up the first one on Zoom just because I have a Zoom account that I use every day for work, right? I work remotely, and the team comes together on that, a couple times a day and stuff.
Right.
So Zoom's always been reliable and can handle large numbers of people. Not that you want large numbers of people in a 18xx game, so it offered me those kind of things, including a requirement for me, and that's video, right?
Okay.
Like, because for me, I like being around the table, and so I have never, ever, ever even considered playing online games because it's not at the table. So video is a requirement for me. I like to see our faces at the table. And so, yeah, my rule is easy. No video, no problem. No invite.
Fair enough.
So yeah. Plus, I get to use cool backgrounds on Zoom and everything, and that's kind of fun. And other platforms are fine. Hangouts and other things do backgrounds and fun stuff. But Zoom was just already in my life, so I just kept using it.
Right, and I think it's also one of the more stable platforms. So if you're using it, and if 2 people can use it for free, but if you need more than that, then you need to buy into a basic plan. But honestly, what, $13-15 a month is not that
I pay
bad.
like $15 a month, and I get
one
my
person
money out of it.
Yeah, and only one person needs to pay for it because they can host the entire call.
Yeah.
So that's
and before
cool.
all this stuff, Zoom really beefed up their infrastructure, so they're remaining very, very reliable. However, they are having some security issues right now because there are some things being exploited that apparently they didn't think about. But they're working on that currently, and I haven't had any problems.
Correct.
Who the hell wants to hack an 18XX stream, right?
You never know.
You never know.
There's also, check Facebook and things. There's some good groups in Facebook. And of course, forums and, BGG and things like that. You can find groups of people who are playing, so you can potentially find games there. The Train board game group is one that I kind of frequent on Facebook that seems to be pretty active and pretty cool. I know.
Facebook.
They like you on there, Tony, by the way. But shout out to all our listeners. So there's that. So I think that's it. I mean, I think, getting the game started is tough. And, that's probably, I think, the biggest hurdle. As soon as you can get over that, I think it gets a lot easier because, you start to see the systems and you start to figure out what's going on. So, all right. Anything you'd like to add about communication before we move on? No? All right. Let us move on to, we're still going to do phases. So the yellow phase, we're going to talk about RR18. So RR18 is a completely encapsulated 18XX experience. So everything you need to run the game is actually included here. If you're, watching the YouTube video, I'll put it up on screen so you can see that, and you can kind of see this is a game. This is our podcaster game that if you listen to any of the other shows, they're complaining about just how long it's taking, and they're not wrong. But a lot of us are busy. But it kind of gives you all the information here on the financial tab. There's track lay, everything. And then the map. The map is pretty good. We're used to the maps, right? With a good tile manifest sitting over there so you know how much is coming and what. Pay no attention to the PRR that I own. That's a horrible, horrible company right now. And then, of course, we have your stock market. And you can hotkey between all of this, which is super nice because you can bounce back and forth. And the other thing is that they've just beefed this up. So apparently they've added a server to it because it used to be really slow. Like you put a move in and just wait and wait and wait. And then finally it would happen. But they do a couple cool things, and there's definitely some benefits to this one. If you do your move during stock rounds, you can pre-program an action ahead so that you can kind of keep things moving a little bit faster. You can do that at any time. So even on somebody else's turn, you can say, buy a PRR at, IPO or market. You can determine that. So it also has full rules enforcement. So you have tile points, lays, things like that. So, there's a lot of accessibility things that you can do with this. So I like it. It's got a record. It's got an in chat. Now, I can't say I've ever really used the chat, and you can actually see over here, the only thing in the chat window here is like when we initialized this game months and months and months ago. Start date 01/08/2020. Kind of tells you, right?
Wow.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions on this? I mean, I'm trying to give you a good overview of it, show you what's up. I
Is
mean,
this an invite only platform? Because I couldn't figure out.
it is.
It didn't look like they were accepting accounts.
Yeah, so you kind of need to know somebody who has an account in order for them to invite you in. And it's just to keep people from opening up frivolous accounts and then never using them. And it's also still beta, so it's developed, it's free. There's a PayPal link, I believe, on the main page that you can donate to.
Cool.
And again, he added servers. Whoever creates this, and I'm sorry I forget who does that, but it's a great option for live play. It works pretty well. I've tried to play one live on it back when it was a little slower. I haven't tried it since it's been new, so it might be worth maybe giving it a shot. But I when we get to the next the board 18, which I'll kind of let Tony talk a little bit about. I think that there's some advantages to what board 18 does over what RR18XX does, and I kind of like being able to have the two screen versus the one that you're constantly flipping around, because I think I like being able to see all my data at one time. So, but that looks pretty good. So if you're interested in that, ask friends who maybe use it and things like that, and see if you can get in. Basically, it's not one of those things you can hop in and poke around. It's like go in, get in a game. Some of the advantages, it does have rule enforcement, so you can learn a game. For instance, learning the sorry, Toby's saying hi. The the rules enforcement helps. Like, for instance, I played Coast to Coast on this with the Manifest Destiny package, and it really helped me kind of figure out the destination runs and things like that. So it was very cool to kind of do that. And when a destination run was available, it would automatically do it let you know and walk you through the process. One thing that you either love or hate is that it has like an auto train feature where you can just hit an auto button and it will just try and calculate the best route for all your trains.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, speed up play a little bit.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be helpful when you're running like 4 twos and, you got this, especially the diesel at the end. But the funny thing is when you need it the most is when it seems to get hinky. Like at the end of the game, when there's a lot of options, that's when you kind of go, wait a second, I think I can do better. And
gotcha.
You might be able to. So I wouldn't trust it.
Okay.
All right. So that is our RR18. So we're going to move on to board 18. And Tony, you're pretty new to this. So I'm going to let you kind of talk through what you know about it, and then I'll chime in if there's anything I'd like to add to it. So
sure, that sounds good. And same for you too, Ian. So board 18 has been 99% of my online 18XX experience, and I like it quite a bit. It's free, and there's a lot of games implemented. And while it's not perfect, what is? I think it works really well. It doesn't occur to me, it doesn't feel like the interface was really designed for hot seat play, because if two people are trying to do something, there's going to be a collision, right? And the first guy to the database wins, and so. But that could be that could be handled very well in a rhythm, right? Like it's my turn, I'm the only one touching the map, that kind of thing. And we found that works very well for us, taking the turns and using your voices, and even collaborating to complete a move. For example, because the board 18 interface has a board and a stock market, and then you use a second interface, which is a spreadsheet, right, to keep track of the money and the companies and the shares and all that stuff. So like last night, okay, I put some tiles down, I put a token, I ran my trains, I moved my stock market value up, and while I was moving my stock market value up, just to get things moving quicker, I would say, Nick, would you advance my share value to 110 in the spreadsheet, and stuff like that. So we were kind of attacking the two different interfaces together. Saves a few minutes here and there per turn.
Right.
So that works pretty well. I think the spreadsheet is something that particularly shines for me with playing on board 18. There's a tab for each stock round and for each OR, and it kind of becomes like an event store where you can kind of look back and see what's happening, and it's really handy. Like in a stock round, like, okay, let me look at the last OR. You're paying what again? Oh yeah, okay, so you can kind of go back and see some historical stuff and even correct mistakes that you might have made. Oh, I forgot to pay, or I paid too much. You can just go back and edit it on the tabs. It's really cool. Overall, at first, it felt really clunky, and I couldn't get my head around the spreadsheet, and blah blah blah. But with with play, right, a couple games, I found I just adapted to it pretty easily. Particularly the spreadsheets. I think they're really really super cool, and the spreadsheets all kind of use the same convention, at least the ones that I've played with. So using one spreadsheet, in UX, there's a concept of affordance, right? That affords you to be able to use another spreadsheet and another spreadsheet. So I think that's pretty cool. There's even a Board 18 test server where you can play prototypes and everything. So like I got to play Scott Peterson's 18 Carolina on that. So I mean, that's something I would not have been able to do without Board 18. So I really thought that was really cool. I want to play 1822 US now that I'm not going to be able to get that game for the next month or two, it sounds like. So yeah, there's lots of games implemented. It's a little clunky at first. It's free. You get used to it. The spreadsheets rock. You can play games that aren't really even commercially available yet. It's I think it's pretty rocking.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's I'm trying to show off some of the features here as we talk and how the tile bay works and everything. Important to note, there is zero rules enforcement on this. Yeah. So aside from not being able to place a tile in the ocean here, that's really about it. I could do any other crazy move. So, you do have to have your wits about you while you're playing. Yeah. But, I kind of like that because it's not feeling like my turn's scripted in any way.
Well, it's also just like playing on a table. There's no, if you wanted to lay a tile in the ocean on the table, you could, right? But it's up to us to prevent you from doing that.
Right. And I would argue it's probably, it's a step up from our R18 and how it looks and its presentation, because I really like the board is scanned and it is a good looking board and something like you would expect to see. Now, I will tell you that, I have 18OE up, and of course I picked the single largest map ever to show you. So you do scroll around a little bit. I'm not going to lie. You learn how to use shift and your mouse wheel effectively. But you can also zoom it and zoom out if you need to kind of read tokens and things like that. But the other thing I do is I can put this on my larger monitor so that nice. Way I can see more of the board at one time.
It's got a cool feature where you hit the letter H and it hides all the tiles so you can see the underlying map. So that's cool. You can't do that on a real board. You have to look at the paper map,
Yep. Yeah, and that has
that company start.
Yeah, exactly. And that has a great impact when you play this async, right? Because then you can, hit hide so you can put your runs in. Because usually we'll have an email chain that's running with all of our turns for an OR, just so people can quickly see at a glance all the turns that have happened. So if you're playing async, that's even more handy than that. But also, to check somebody like Chris for not paying for that stupid mountain or something, he's like, hey, you didn't pay for that. And it works like you can undo moves, just, Control Z undoes a move and things like that. Handles special circumstances and tokens pretty easily. The OE map, let me scroll down to my minor D. You can see I have the plus 20 token down here. Thanks, Toby. We'll get back to you.
So if I Slack you right now with a message like you're a doofus, it'll show up there?
Yes, it will.
Okay, cool. Good
Luckily,
to know.
I'm not streaming this, but it's okay. You think like Focus Assist would actually work when something's full screen.
Yeah, for sure.
So as you can tell, we like Board 18. I think, Tony touched on a lot of things. One of the huge advantages of this over, I think, any of the systems that we're going to talk about is the amount of titles available. So you can really get in there and play with some titles that are completely out of print. You can't get your hands on. So it gives you an opportunity to play some games you would not otherwise get to play. And, the rule books, you still have to find them and you still have to hunt them down. But usually we put them in our communication channels as a hot link so that you have them. So that, you always have the rules, a link to the spreadsheet, and a link to the map. And they're kind of the three things we always run in that. Now for OE, we also have a document that we're just using for all of our moves because this is an async game. So all of our moves, we're just kind of cataloging them down. And right now we're just, all the fun of the mergers is happening right now because everything's about to, the fives are about to pop. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Nice.
I like it because we get to play OE now. I don't get to play OE on a normal game day because it's usually too long. So this way you get to enjoy some of those longer games like a Coast to Coast or an OE or things like that. So you could do that online in the background or you can do it for the main. Cool. Do you have any questions, Ian? I know I know you know of Board 18, but do you have any questions as somebody, from the outside looking in about the system at all?
No, it's probably just about like finding rule books more than anything else. Because I'm looking at I have the list of games here, and like some of these I could probably source a rule book not too hard.
Right.
I've never heard of 18QQ.
Wow.
Or I've seen pictures of, but never seen a rule book for Fourth Age.
Right.
So I mean, I know that these games have, I know that they have rules out there, and some of them are easier to find than others. So it would just be a matter of like, I'm sure that there's a list somewhere where somebody's got like a Google Drive with all the rules for everything on Board 18.
Yeah, which also brings up the spreadsheet conundrum. Okay, just like you need an invite to get in, you need to know somebody to get in. Use those channels, request games, try to get in. But then also, if you need the spreadsheets, you need to ask for them. There's a couple drives floating around that just have a ton of the spreadsheets on them. And they all behave a little differently. Usually they're pretty standard like Tony was talking about. But every now and then, like I have one that the dividends hold is different because you pay dividends based on like share price and then dividends paid on the total run price. So there's some little differences you'll have to play and kind of figure out. But you know what? It's not that bad. And if you know enough about the system, I think it comes pretty naturally to you. But yeah. Doing the good old search for fourthage.pdf tends to be pretty well, right?
Ian, that is a good thing you mentioned though too, because like often what I will do is I will grab my physical copy of the game and have it on my desk here while we're playing online because I might want to look at maybe just the map again, the real map or the rules or how much is that third token?
Right.
Let me look at
that. Happened in our game of. That happened in our game of 46, where somebody actually had the rule book on hand, and even while we were doing it, he was looking through the physical rule book, and I was looking at the PDF from the GMT website. So it's being easy access to rules.
Yeah,
is important.
It's funny, Tony. You bring up one point, and I think I don't know that it's ever been anywhere on any of the sheets I've ever used that has like how much all the stations cost. Like that's always something that I seem to always have to look up. I could be wrong, and maybe it's on there, and it's kind of like somebody put it on there, and I never notice it. But from what I can see, I've never seen them included, which seems like a little bit of an oversight. Because, but hey, I'm not going to complain. They let me play games.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's it. That's for Board 18. Again, get in. Try places like the Facebook groups and things like that so that you can get into a game of this. And if you're interested, ask around for information, logins, and see if you can get an invite from somebody. It's not a super secret, like, hey, you got to whisper down the lane kind of club. It's just to keep the servers from getting inundated with stuff. It's, it's kind of like the 50-cent entrance fee. It's not to charge you 50 cents. It's to make sure that you make a conscious decision to use this and do this thing, right? There's no charge, by the way. That's about just to make sure I'm clear. And then Tony did mention one thing, and you will run into this if you use this live, is if somebody's trying to make moves, and sometimes even this happens in an async game where I'm trying to make moves and somebody left the browser window open and they keep messing with it and it keeps not letting my moves update. So there is a little bit of that. You got to find the rhythm, I think is a great way that you put it there, Tony. Awesome. Yes. All right. So let's move on to Tabletop Simulator. Now, I don't have a fancy screenshot of this because I don't pay for it. I don't know it. But Ian does. And, one of the reasons I wanted to get another guest on is so that they can actually talk knowledgeably about what Tabletop Simulator does. So do you want to kind of give us the overview of how it works in 18XX, what's available?
Yeah, so Tabletop Simulator is at its base, it's like a physics simulator. Like if you pick something up, it drops, whatever that thing is. If you import a model, it attempts to make that model fall however you've made it. So if you have like chess pieces, you can balance them upside down if you're willing to spend the time to rotate it the right way and all that. And because of this like open-ended import whatever you want and put pictures on whatever you want, you can make any game if you've got the time. I had, and I closed it because I wasn't thinking, I had the workshop open so that I can look at the games that are available. Just searching for 18XX gives you, have this set for 30 on the page. So that page had 29, and this one's got another 12 that have been that are user tagged as 18XX games.
Okay.
1862, whoever made that didn't tag it as 18XX. So there's like 30 on there that I know of easily. And one of the first ones that shows up for 18XX is the 18XX tiles, where somebody has gone to the trouble of creating 400 tiles just so that you can load them into your own game and take the ones that you want, and then you can save that game as its own game. So basically, they've created a tool set for you to have all the tiles in another game. We were playing with it the other night, and it's actually fairly easy to import a picture and make a board because there's just a button that says spawn board, and it shows up, and it shows up, and it's blank. It's just a white square, and you can load any picture on it that you want, and you can make it bigger. So what happens is you can just populate a board, throw a picture on it, make it real big, and then lock it in place. And then you can import these tiles from somebody else's file, and you can just be off and running. It's all 3D, so you can move the camera around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, pan, tilt, all that good stuff. There is an issue that because it is a physics simulator, it is kind of janky with moving stuff around. You have to, you click and drag tiles to move them. If they're in a stack, you have to click and drag quickly off the top. Otherwise, you pick up the whole stack. And then when you drop it, what happens is when you pick up a stack, everything gets linked temporarily while you have it selected. So you can pick up a whole stack accidentally, drop it, and then the whole stack turns sideways because it fell onto another token. And the physics is we need to tip the whole column sideways, but it stays together, fortunately.
Oh, okay.
At least in most cases, it stays together. There are times when if you're picking up multiple items, you can left click to pick it up and then right click to pick up another one off the stack. Those are not grouped, and if you drop those will just fall everywhere. So if you're picking up, certs and off of a stack and you drop them, or if you're moving your mouse real fast and let go, it's like you're throwing them. So they will just scatter across the board if you're not paying attention.
Nice.
It does allow people to do custom scripting, which it's all object based. So they've created charters that detect when they have certs on them, and then when you hit a button to do a payout, it will recognize who has what certs and where to transfer money from a central bank. Some of them handle it better than others. The version of 46 that we played had all of that in a central calculator, but to do a transaction, you had to say, from bank. What was it? It's like you would pick the company and then the dividends and then hit pay, and it would pay to the whoever held the shares. But if you wanted to buy a share, you had to say, okay, from seat 2, transfer to bank, price, go. And there was only one place to do that, and you can see everyone's cursor at all times. So if you all zoom in on the calculator, you see all these hands just like flying all over everything. try, and you're like, I can't see through your hand. You gotta move. I need to press these buttons.
Nice.
And then you end up having to designate one person to be in charge of just handling the transactions. It's really neat in that it's a 3D representation of the board. So you can pick stuff up, you can rotate the tiles any direction you want. While you're playing, there's all the same mod tools are available to you, so you can add snap points while you're playing. If you don't like where things are falling on the table, you can just add a spot where you're like, when I drop the cards here, I want them to hit this specific spot and stay there.
Oh, okay.
And you can lock stuff in place. It has all that there, but it can be real janky. Like the level of like physics interaction, especially with an 18xx game, because there's so many physical objects on the table. Like a couple hundred tiles and cards and everything. When you start moving stuff around, it starts to sometimes have some problems. There's an issue where when you're zoomed in, you can zoom in real close to read stuff, and if you pick stuff up, you can't zoom out while holding the object. Because if you try and zoom out with the mouse wheel while holding it, it just spins it.
Oh.
So you have to like zoom in, find it, then zoom out, and then pick it up, and then you can move it across the table. Otherwise, you're having to move and pan all at the same time. So the camera controls can be a little cumbersome at first.
Okay.
Once you learn the shortcuts for making cards larger on the screen without zooming in, that helps. You start to learn some of the shortcuts on the keystrokes, so you can quickly. It's also possible you can accidentally delete stuff while you're playing, which is something you got to be careful. But if you have, you can make copies of stuff real easy. Whatever you have highlighted, you can just hit copy and paste, and it makes a new one. So if you accidentally throw one of your tokens off the board on accident or on purpose, you can just make a new one, because the board does just float in a void. There's no floor. So if something falls off, like, it might just be gone.
Now, how hard is it to fix problems or mistakes? Because, it happens. You get to the point where you're like, all of a sudden, somebody has 12 shares and the cert limit's 11. It happens.
Yeah. That's a little bit more difficult. It depends on the game. Like, if it's one of the scripted ones, there's probably a way to enact the manual transactions back through the bank. There's no rules enforcement, so you just do whatever you want for the most part. But yeah, if you make a mistake, it's pretty much on you to figure out how to fix it. If you do something really, really bad, there is like a 10-second rollback where it just reloads the game state from 10 seconds ago, but that involves respawning every object in the game from 10 seconds ago, so it drops the whole board back in. And that's when, the other night, I deleted a charter out of 62, and it was one of the scripted ones, and the game did not like that at all. It just started giving me a string of errors, because whatever it's doing, it's just looking for the scripting tied to that object constantly. So it only rolls back 10 seconds, so I just hit the undo real quick, and it popped it back in, and I'm like, all right, well, don't do that anymore. But there's an option there, so that lets you go back 10 seconds in the past. And you can do it a bunch of times, but it's really taxing on the system to try and roll it back.
Cool. So it is a cost system, is that correct? Do you have to pay monthly, or how does that work?
It is a $20 buy-in, and it's on sale right now for $10. And that comes and goes just whenever. The games themselves are mostly user-made, like 99% of them, because there's, let's see, there are 14,000 modules.
Wow.
On here right now. That says board games. There's also 10,000 card games. I don't know if there's overlap or not.
Hmm.
The program itself costs $20 base. Most of the games are free that you subscribe to on the workshop. They're all created by people who have just decided that they want to have this game available. They do have paid DLC for some games. I'm trying to find it. Let's go to the store page.
Yeah, they're more like publisher based, right?
And those are the publisher ones where somebody has decided to add that they want to have a Scythe is on here. And
I've
that's
seen some
like
games.
Yeah.
I've seen some games where it's like free for 2 players, but if you want a third or a fourth, it costs some money. Stuff like that too.
Scythe used to be on here, but I think it got removed when they actually put out a proper Scythe digital release standalone.
Okay.
So there's Indonesia's on here for $7, and that's an official mod where they have like a custom background and all the pieces look like the proper scans, and they've done a bunch of work
though, right?
So that one of the things you can do is you can make the pieces bigger and smaller. So if you are having a hard time reading a card, if you're mousing over it and you hit plus, it just keeps blowing. It just keeps making the card bigger and bigger until it reaches a limit. The problem with that is it's a physically larger object and it displaces things as though it's larger. Yeah, exactly.
So you can recreate your actual Indonesia set with the wrong size token.
Yes.
Yes. You absolutely can.
Awesome.
We were looking at Iron Dragon the other day because that's one of our favorite games. Because it's not super heavy, and we had a friend who hadn't played it before, but we didn't have any of the player aids. So Sean took some pictures on his phone and he sent them to me on Slack, and then I imported them on cards into the game directly, and then we put them on the table and we blew them up and we locked them down, and the resolution was pretty good so that you didn't have to zoom in on them, and we loaded it up on a new table that was bigger, so that you weren't constantly crunched on space, because there's a lot of the way that the initial one had been loaded was space management was poor.
Gotcha. Cool.
There's a lot of like really neat ability, like options to make games and play games and modify them like on the fly, but learning how to do it can be cumbersome and sometimes breaks the game.
No, fun.
Well, I tried to play 1879 last weekend.
Okay.
And it doesn't have any scripting or anything, and we just found it totally tedious. Now, it's gorgeous. I mean, it looks beautiful, and I don't mind moving the tile, the track tiles and stuff like that. But and when you're starting to move everything, and I was, oh my god, we're tempted to use the interface, but just use like the map and the tiles, and use a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's something that I'm actually going to try later today. Somebody's going to have a spreadsheet up, and they're going to run that. I'm going to see how that works out, because the in-game options for managing money are pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, like,
we took your lead, and we put the little counters on the charters and everything. It's just
yeah. And those were the one that from 1862. The counters that were on the charters came preloaded that way. So
cool.
That was something that they'd already thought of. But you can always just add in another counter if you need to keep track of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right on.
So it sounds like there's a lot. There should be a decent amount of cube rail games as well, as I recall.
I saw Irish Gauge because that was the one that I looked for.
And it's the new port, so it's the pretty Tool version as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Let's see. There's American Rails. It's searching through the workshop is a little tough because it's all user managed tags and titles. So if they don't tag it like cube rails, then it's you can't necessarily find it unless you know a name
like
specifically. I was thinking, what's the one? Is it Chicago Express, is that one?
Yep.
That's one I played in. That's in there. I can look up Winsome and see what it says. If you look up Winsome, you get Irish Gauge, 1879, Chicago Express, and American Rails.
There you go. Okay. So you get some.
You get
I think
some.
those would do really well in that system because there's not so much bookkeeping and little things moving around. So they might be a lot easier
Right.
to deal with. Cool. So we're going to move on to, this is going to be the gray phase. Now the gray phase is coming soon. So Tony and I had the awesome pleasure of hanging with Mr. Toby Mal last week.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, and we got to go over one of his pet projects, which right now is he is basically trying to. He did two things. Number one is he made rollingstock.net, which if you like the card game Rolling Stock, which is very 18xx-esque, then he has a quick, active online play version. Takes away a lot of the hassles of the bookkeeping, the constant moving of tokens, constantly figuring prices out. So it really, really, really streamlines the process. You can make an account and play for free. A lot of fun, very, very slim, very, very bare bones. Does the job very well. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely watch the following video, but
I kind of have a new project that I've been working on. I'm calling it 18xx.games. And so this is kind of a prototype of the UX. So it looks really, really bad, even worse than Rolling Stock, and it's something I'm going to improve. But I've mainly been working on the functionality. I wanted to get all the rules done. I wanted to get the basic operations so that you can play the game, even if it's not as nice as it could be. And we can try a couple rounds now if you guys want to give it a shot.
Well, a lot of 18xxers out there, Toby, are function over form people. You know what I mean? So, I'm sure that people will understand that there's going to be more form coming, but the function is really what folks are after.
All right, I'm gonna bid on the mines because I like the Mountain Buster.
All right. I'll go ahead and bid on Ehime. And you can see it's all updating automatically.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
quick. That's also one of the slowest thing ever is private auctions when you do the online.
Boom.
Oh, someone triggered something.
I just ripped it. I just pulled the ripcord.
Ripped it. And look at that. It worked.
Look how awesome that was. Right on. So I can just pick a railroad.
Yep.
Choose a par.
Okay.
And then
So Awa, you can see the token popped up on 75. You bought 2 shares and you're the president.
oh, awesome.
I think I'm gonna open the Takamatsu. I think I want to go before Tony because I don't trust him.
All right. Are you even gonna have enough to float it?
I was just thinking that. Nope.
I just picked the par.
Did you undo it? Oh.
I just paid it. I wasn't paying attention to the numbers
Okay.
for the demo.
All right. I'm gonna buy a share of Awa.
So we have a benevolent investor. It's beautiful.
Yep.
There we go.
Friendly game.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So Awa's floated 750 token on K8.
Token on K8. Oh, really? Look at that. Yeah, right up in that gray box right here. Iowa Railroad floats with $750 in token K8. Awesome.
If you're familiar with programming technologies, Rolling Stock was made using mostly just HTML. So all of the views were rendered server side, and there's just an AJAX call that updates the screen. Mm-hmm. So it is reactive, but it's not as fancy as this. In order to do 18xx, I really needed a client-side framework. Yeah. So I'm using something called SnapDOM, which is what Vue.js is based off. Yep. But I made my own framework based in Ruby using Opal.js.
Nice.
And so basically, I wrote the entire engine in Ruby, but that's all on the client as well. So what that means is you can play without internet. Once you have this loaded on your browser, it all has all the rules on your browser. And then you can, when you send a request to the server, we can validate that you didn't cheat on the server.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and so it all updates real time, without anything. And so whenever you make moves, it does a client side validation, and the view is instant, and then it sends something to the server so that it validates.
So this is you're working on 1889 to get your implementation up, and then is it going to be? Are you going to work on other games? Can other people submit games? How is that going to work in the future, or are we not that far yet?
Yeah, so I'm already planning that. And so 1889 is the first game. I wanted it to be the first game because it's got a good rule set. It's good foundation for a lot of games. It's not already done. And I also got permission from Grand Trunk Games to do it.
Awesome.
And everything's open source. So yeah, I already got contributors. Michael Brandt is a contributor, and he did all the tile systems. That's why it looks so nice right now.
What?
But yeah, if you implement a game that has all the rules already in place, then it's very easy. It's just configuration. You just change like the price of the numbers, the price of the companies and the names, stuff like that. If you want
So it'd be
something with
very
new
easy to
rules,
say do like 30 after something like this, right?
right, 30 would be trivial to do.
Right.
Tony, it's your turn to lay track.
Wow. Okay. Oh, I see. So that's why I am highlighted like this.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can see on the map that only the spot that you can actually lay is highlighted. Everything else is kind of grayed out.
Right. Okay. How cool. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So you laid the track, and now it's your turn to buy trains.
Awesome.
Yeah, so this is all using SVGs. Thanks a lot to Kelson for making his cool tool. We use a lot of the code he has open source there to get a head start on these,
Nice.
generating our assets. I'm going to lay this here, and you can see that the 3 hexes options show up. These are the only options available.
I love
I'm going to
that.
lay this, click on that one. I'm going to rotate it by clicking on it. I'm going to press this check bar to confirm.
That's awesome.
That's so gorgeous.
You can see here as well, everything here tells you exactly what happened. The electric railway laid the tile, it didn't run, and the share price dropped from 65 to 60, right?
Awesome.
So I'm going to buy 2 trains. So I have the option now to buy your train for $1.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy two trains, and I'm going to pass. The way you run trains is not great right now. So first things first, I'm going to click on one of the trains, and I'm going to click on the tiles that I want to run to. You see that it highlights it red. I'll click on the second train, then I'll run my next track here. Then I'll click submit. And you can see here that I ran 2 trains for each $50 in the path. And then here now I can choose to pay or withhold. So I'll choose to pay out. And you can see here,
There's
$10, $40, $20, and my share price goes up. Now I can buy another train. I'll buy a 3rd train, and then I will pass. We can actually look at all the tiles here, clicking this button. So like if you want to look at the 492, it's right here. There's a city with revenue 80,
I can't
3
see.
slots, for example. So it's all defined there. All right, click there, and there's the upgrades. These are my options. And so if I clicked on this one, that's the only rotation that's legal.
Wow.
I cancel that. Let's see if I can try this one. That's also, these only have 1 rotation, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what it would look like. And
What's your hopeful time frame on putting 1889 out there for people to get on and play with?
yeah, I'm hoping I can do like an initial beta in like 1 to 2 weeks.
Wow.
I'm working full time now, so I only get to really do this on the weekends.
Yeah.
But on the weekends, all I do is work on this and take care of my kids. So
I hear you. Yeah, looking forward to this, Toby, and appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your craziness over there from your wife and babies to hang out with us and show us this cool tool, man.
yeah, thanks for having me.
I think it looks really promising. It seems to be very intuitive. Like when laying the track, you get some options and stuff. It's really, really neat. It is built for hot seat play. Like all of the changes are pushed to the connected browser clients. So you don't have to refresh, right? When I lay this track, you're going to see it pop up. When I pay everything's going to happen live. on each player's browser. Yeah, it's really cool. Right now, the implementation is 1889, and he said he picked that because of its simplicity. And he does hope that once this platform is out there, that the community would develop some games for it too.
Right.
And he thinks that'd be very, very easy.
Because he made this all open source, so it's
he's doing it all open source, and he says he's not a UX guy. So if there's any gamers, any 18xx gamers out there that are UX guys, they should reach out if they're interested in helping with some of that appearance.
Yeah, I love the way he did the tile system, and it's fully rules enforced. So the game's intelligent enough to know that if you click on a specific tile and you want to upgrade, it will only give you the options that are available to place in there. And it does it in a little kind of radial dial around the tile. It's very, very slick.
And he got the perfect domain, 18xx.games. Yeah.
Yeah. So check there. Perfect. And I think he'll turn that on when the beta is about to open. So that's really exciting. And Tony, you said it perfectly, put out the call. He's looking for a UX designer because right now it's pretty much all text-based. So, it would be awesome to kind of get a pretty clean front end on top of it. That would probably just help streamline the process a bit. So reach out to any of us or Toby if you know where to get a hold of him. Thanks for leading us through that, Tony. That's I can't wait. That's super exciting. And he also set up our little demo so we could bring that to you, and hopefully that'll be another option for us in the very near future. So that's going to bring us down to we're gonna kind of bring it to a close here. We have our priority deal. So this is going to be our final impressions of how we feel about online play and what it's really done for things in our gaming lives. So, Ian, do you want to maybe give us a thought? Like, what has, because you're very impacted doing the online streaming and everything. How has life transitioned, and how was this transition for you, and where do you see it going?
Since we can't get together every week anymore, we were going to have to figure something out. That there is a way to continue to play games online with people, and that we can still stream it that's been a huge plus for us. And it has, that we can get most of the titles that we want to play, or at least the ones that we were interested in playing. That's been really good. That's been really good for us to keep playing games when we can manage to squeeze them in, because even discounting any other factors, 18x games can take a while, especially when you're slow players like we are. So it's nice that we can do it without having to do any of the setup or the cleanup. You can just, when you're done, you just close the window. You just close the window and it's gone.
This is true.
You don't have to worry about
tiles.
Yeah, we had Sean box wiped 1862 at the end of our local convention. He just swept the whole thing into the box without bag, because we were running late. We got to go, and he just grabbed everything. And he said it took him a good long time to get everything sorted back out. So at least now, when you start one of these games, you just open the program up and you hit go, and everything's there laid out for you. You don't have to unbox anything. You don't have to worry about physical pieces getting lost or any of that. So that is a nice bonus. And it's been fairly easy to integrate into the streaming software. It hasn't had any. I haven't had any technical challenges getting Tabletop Simulator into XSplit and then from there on to YouTube. I've been finding some stuff on Discord that allows more of the voice integration. I haven't worked into getting video just yet. I don't know if everybody has a webcam or if they want to be on video, but me, Sean, and Jeremiah, we running those YouTube videos, so they must be okay with it. But playing with other people, I don't know. I haven't asked them. It has been a great bonus to keep games going when you just can't meet in person.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. On your point about not having to put the game away, of course, on TTS, you have the flip the table button, right?
You do have a button that lets you flip the table. So when you're done, you just flip the table and the pieces just explode everywhere. And it just makes a huge mess. And then, oh, that was a satisfying end to a game.
Just went bankrupt. Click.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Tony, what are your thoughts? Because I think your thoughts are going to pretty much mirror mine. So I love I love some of the things that I know are coming. So I'm gonna let you kind of bring us home here.
Well, heretofore the word never was my statement about playing games online, right? Because I like the tactile, like I want to touch the pieces and move them around and sneeze on them when it's safe to do so. No, I want to tactilely touch the pieces and stuff like that. And I also want to be, physically at the table with my friends, laugh, trash talk, share a meal, maybe an adult beverage, stuff like that. I don't care if I win or lose. I care that I play my best, that kind of thing, and that I have a great time with my friends, right? So the notion of playing online is just, no, especially asynchronously. I'm hearing horror stories from my friends that do that. It's like, oh yeah, P.S. Kyle, take your move, will you? Because it's been 3 days, and these games taking months, and I'm just
it's hard to remember where you were.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard enough time with that anyway, right? So, but the COVID-19 thing has definitely changed my tune on that, at least in terms of playing synchronously and live, with my friends, because I've definitely found that to be very enjoyable. And a couple things have come from this, I think, that have changed how I'm going to move in this space going forward. One is when this is over and we can be at the table and have a meal and an adult beverage, I still want to play with a spreadsheet. I think I'm going to give that a whirl, not necessarily 100% of the time, but we'll just put the map out there and the tiles, and we'll just keep track of everything else, and we'll just put it on the TV right there. Right.
Yeah.
So like Chris, that means you won't be able to, do your chips, because
I tell
they
you,
won't even be on the table.
I even when I'm playing online games, I still have a stack of chips that I'm able to just it's just fidget with, right? Like I still need that.
We'll allow that.
All right.
So that's one thing, right? Like I want to try playing with a spreadsheet at the table as well. Additionally, what this opportunity has provided me is a way to play games with people that I ordinarily only get to see and play games with at conventions. Like you, Chris, right? Like you live in PA, I live in CO. Yeah, we don't get to play that together very often, right?
The Copa.
Jeroen in the Netherlands has reached out. I want to play. Tudor in Romania. I only get to see these guys maybe once a year, maybe, right? So I'm going to continue to play some online synchronous games and deal with time zone challenges, even when this is over, because it's been really cool to play with people that, I never get to see or barely get to see. So,
and you get to meet people too, Nick, your friend who's been constantly around and interacting and things like that. Well, now I know I really don't like him in person. So,
except at the game table, he's a great guy, right?
Right. Exactly.
And then I got to do the hats off to the wife, because Robin has been like a total trooper.
Absolutely.
Allowing me to stay ensconced in my office up here for extra hours to play board games and stuff. Like last night, I was anticipating the game would be 2.5 hours, probably ended bankruptcy. It was 4 hours, and she's like, rah, 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 but only half joking.
Right.
So she's been a real trooper.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the idea of continuing it and being able to, have games together, whether we stream them or not. That's kind of a bonus, right? Just to flip that switch. But it's really just, I haven't got to game with Tony since last January, so it was great to be able to kind of, sit down and play a couple games. So
For sure.
It's awesome. Well,
What was that? Was that close to what you have?
it's almost identical. Like, I want to make this happen more consistently, right? Like, my normal game group, we're going to actually try and, start up a weekly game again, because we used to game every Monday and that's gone. So we're going to try and see if, hey, can we get our game back up and use Zoom and, have it be nice and, try and do it again. So
Yeah. Right on.
I appreciate that the tools exist that we can do that, even though we don't have to run across town or do anything. And, you save a little time because you don't have to deal with setup and all that stuff, but you gain it back because, you're talking and it might be a little slower. I think it's like 25% slower to play online versus in real life. It's very small, but you gain that rate back because you don't have to set up and you don't have to break down. So, and I dig it. And you can always pause the game at the end and say, hey, like, we're going to play OE. We'll play for 3 hours tonight, and then we'll come back tomorrow, and we'll finish it up. So you have those options, too. So, cool. Anything else you'd like to add as we wrap up here?
I think if we could get a flip the table implementation board 18, that might be. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Anytime you can flip a table, it's great.
It is. It is. I think maybe we'll do that competition. There's a competition for who can be the best table flipper. If, we're still trying to do Tracks 18. We're still leaving it on track at the moment for Tracks East in the fall. So we'll see what happens. But, maybe we'll do a flip the table contest. And, you can flip 30. That would be fun. Something that's easily found. So there you go. Some of them do have a learning curve, and I think the learning curve kind of actually followed our trend through the list, right? Like, I think, the RR18 is very, very straightforward, pretty easy to figure out, rules enforced. Board 18 takes a little more effort. You got to watch what's going on. Tabletop Simulator, I don't think the game itself is hard, but the interface, you need to learn it to really be able to get the most out of it. I've only played a couple. I played like Wingspan, and I think I just played Cartographers last night on it. And it's, it's, I don't want, fiddly is probably not the right word because I don't, but once you know it, I think it's fine. But you got to learn it first, like how to pick up multiple things, how to even deal with the camera can be a challenge at times. So I totally get that. And of course, if you're trying to do that and it's your screen that's getting captured live stream,
Yeah.
more pleasure.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've used it before, so at least I know how to zoom in and pick stuff up as opposed to some other people we played with.
Yeah, exactly. So this has been awesome. You can always find me at wheeltapping.com. Feel free to reach out to us. You can email wheeltapping@gmail.com if you have questions or anything for the show or anything like that. Let us know. Ian, where can people find you if they need to find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at Bankruptcy Club, on YouTube at Bankruptcy Club, and I have an email now, which is ian@thebankruptcy.club.
Nice.
Yeah, because I got the website, thebankruptcy.club.
Excellent. And he sprung for the email package. Nice.
I went all the way in, man. If you're going to go for it, you got to go all the way.
And Mr. Tony, where can they find you, sir?
Social media wise, just Twitter at @AFryerGames and Board Game Geek, Tony Fryer.
There you go. So hopefully this helps you kind of, get through this this period of isolation that we all have and realize that, we can still game. I can still give people a hard time. We can still toss some chips and have some good fun playing some 18XX games and, from the comfort of our home. It's completely doable. So I hope you found this useful. Maybe we'll try and do something else in the future. If, Toby's comes up and things like that, we'll let you know. And look forward to more special episodes as they warrant. So for everybody here at Wheel Tapping, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your week. We hope you're healthy. Wash your hands and don't touch your face. Have a good night.
Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
At punchboardmedia.com.